What does it mean to be fruitful and multiply? We all have our own reasons, right? The reason I ask this is to spark an interest in envisioning what this means for ourselves. So let me ask again. What does it mean to be fruitful and multiply? One example I've come up with in being fruitful and multiplying is having a harvest and propagating. When we harvest our crop, we are fruitful. And because one fruit carries multiple seeds, planting them is multiplying. So this is a farmer's perspective, and here's an entrepreneur's perspective. Being fruitful is producing an income that covers expenses, and multiplying is creating jobs to provide opportunities to others for their production of an income. So we each have our own idea of what it means to be fruitful and to multiply, right? Our capabilities are different, and so are our positions, making the availability of our resources vary and causing the methods we choose to use to be fruitful different, contributing to the uniqueness of our ideas for multiplying. But if we put all our perspectives side by side, comparing them to each other, we can find common ground, the place where we all can relate. So here's the way I see our common ground. The development of our lives begins at conception. And when our bodies develop enough to experience the world outside the womb, we're born. Our lives are then filled with the moments we experience from the cause and effects of our collective choices as well as our individual ones. And then the final experience we all share, death. Whether our faith interprets that to be a new life, like with reincarnation, resurrection, or maybe we believe nothing happens. Regardless of what our faiths interpret death to be, this is the end of our shared experiences. In any case, from conception, we begin to grow. Here's the thing. At the beginning, we have no capability. What happens is our lives as a society has begun long before our existence, just as it will continue long after the end of our experiences in our individual lives. This is to say that the existence of society and the choices made by at least two people began our development. In the womb, the choices our mother makes affect us. And when our bodies are developed enough to experience the world outside the womb, we're born. Hopefully, our minds are developed enough to keep up with the pace of society's teaching methods. Every choice of at least one person from then on contributes to our development, right? They affect our ability to develop our capacity to make our own choices. As our learning capabilities develop, our own choices contribute to the development of our growth. Our choices of our diets provide our bodies with a supply of nutrients it uses for the energy we need to perform the actions we take, right? This is to say, every moment of our lives is an expense of energy. With every beat our heart makes, with every breath our lungs take, with every thought our minds think, even when we dream. Notice when we wake up, we have a hunger, we seek something for breakfast. Health experts even suggest to make it a habit to drink water at the moment we wake up. It's also said that a healthy habit for our daily diet is to eat a big breakfast. They say we should eat like royalty in the morning, like the working class for lunch, and like those in poverty for dinner. They advise not to consume anything for a few hours before we sleep. Why? So that the energy our body uses isn't wasted on breaking down the intake of our food. Rather, that energy can be added to the energy of restoring our health from the strains and stresses of the day's activities. So, with every moment producing an expense of energy from our bodies, producing a sense of hunger, we can say that consumption replenishes our supply of nutrients used for growth. So, when we maintain a particular lifestyle, despite these constant changes of stress and relief, keeping the changes to our daily activity to a minimum, we experience a kind of stagnation where we're either content or depressed. The type of consistency that comes after taking a developmental step is contentment. The consistency in our daily activities that follow a loss in our capabilities is a depression. All of this is to say that when we're being consistent, whether it follows a moment of development or a moment of loss, reveals our moments of being fruitful, right? Our daily activities are producing enough fruit for the next day's activities. When we increase our capabilities, we experience growth. When our capabilities decrease, we become depressed. So with this perspective, can we agree that being fruitful is being consistent with our activities of replenishing our supply to maintain our capabilities? And to multiply is to increase those capabilities? See, if every moment is an expense, this means that if we're not maintaining our capabilities, we can fall into depression. So now let me ask another question. Why multiply? If an income or harvest reveals being fruitful by showing contentment, why change it? This presentation just showed us that the development of society is as inevitable as the expense of energy of every moment. Because of our lack of capabilities at our early stages of life, the person, couple, or group providing the means for the replenishment of our daily expenses has had to increase their capabilities to do so. This means that as long as one of us isn't able to maintain their fruitfulness, at least one part of society will need to multiply their developments, causing our lives as a whole to consistently trend up despite any individual losses of capacity. Just as the supply of our energy depletes consistently, despite any gains to our capabilities. Our contentment also depends on our position in society. Basic economics teaches that the limits on our resources require us to expend too much energy on acquiring the resources that are distant. And unless we develop our capabilities by networking with others who are in a better position to obtain our lacking resources, the costs on our energy to replenish the supply ourselves are more than the energy we would use to produce an excess in our strengths and trade it for the resources we're lacking. If we're staying contented with our capabilities while society continues to grow, our contentment increases our difficulties to obtain the resources available with society. Our relativity to others increases in distance, and maintaining the capabilities we have become more and more difficult. This is probably why love wants a more abundant life for us. The reason I say love is because that's what fuels our society. The love at least one of our parents had for themselves conceived us, right? And the love our mother had for us in the womb as well as for herself provided our bodies the opportunities to develop for birth. So the love we have for ourselves motivates us to replenish our resources to live a life of contentment. The love we have for others motivates us to increase the capacities of our resources so that we can contribute to the replenishment of their resources for their contentment of life, right? We all want the ones we love to have the best life they can. The one underlying desire we have for those we love is their happiness, right? Their contentment. We want them to be at peace. We want them to be as contented with their lives as we are, if not more. So what is this more abundant life that love wants for us? Ever hear the saying, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time? Any answer provided by anyone else includes some of their preferences where ours is unclear. What I mean is, in the areas where our preferences are different or unknown, their preferences are used as substitutes to develop their picture of our more abundant life. Because of our different positions, we need our own targets. So what is our target? Because I can't paint your target for you, right? I can share with you 2 methods I've come across for setting up our targets. Years ago, after reading Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I began sharing the importance of creating a personal mission statement. See, one of the habits of highly effective people is that they begin with the end in mind. They have vision boards of what they're aiming for. So as I was sharing with my brother how to write a personal mission statement, he shared what he came across on YouTube, this thing called Ikigai. Just as a personal mission statement paints a picture of what a more abundant life looks like for us, Ikigai kind of gives us a map of our more abundant life. See, reviewing a personal mission statement reminds us of what brings value to our lives. That way we know what resources to leverage to increase our capabilities. It helps us to identify the activities that multiply our capabilities to give us a more abundant life. With Ikigai, we list activities that answer 4 questions. What are we good at? What do we love to do? What the world needs? And what would the world pay for? When we compare what the world needs with what the world would pay for, we can identify vocations we could leverage to cover the expenses of replenishing our supply, as well as the costs of multiplying our capabilities, right? Now, if we compare what the world would pay for with only the things that we're good at, now we identify our best choices for a profession. Comparing the things we're good at with the things we love, regardless of what the world needs or what it would pay for, we can see the activities we're passionate about. And when we look at the things we love to do in comparison with the things that the world needs, the activities that give us a sense of mission are revealed. So now when we look at these activities, we're in a better position to see a clearer vision of the vocations that fulfill our sense of mission through the passions of our profession. Studying Ikigai, I realized how a clearer vision of our more abundant life helps us to see the jobs we could turn into careers and turn the fruits of our hobbies into revenue. See, answering these 4 questions help us to see the options we have in the 4 areas of our personal mission statement. So how do we write a personal mission statement? If we need to begin with the end in mind, then we start with a eulogy. We write our eulogy describing our character, accomplishments, and contributions from 4 different perspectives. Just like the Greek language has 4 different words for love. There's love for the moment, like the love we have for things. The love like that of a friend, where we exchange trust. The love of those bonded by blood, the kind you get from a sibling. And then there's the deepest love we can give, the one without condition. With that being said, it might help to write this eulogy by imagining the 4 people who give it. The first one would be our spouse, the one we're comfortable with calling our better half. The second one is someone with family-like ties, someone that represents our immediate family, parent, sibling, or child. Then there's the professional perspective, a coworker, a boss, or a client. And then the neighborly perspective. This is someone who can speak on behalf of all the communities we interact with. What if we don't have a spouse or a job? So when we can't identify an actual person to stand in these positions, then we'd have to imagine as if we did have a life or professional partner. Or maybe one person fits into all these perspectives. In any case, our goal here is to identify our character, accomplishments, and contributions with our friends, coworkers, family, and selves. This helps us identify the roles our lives have positioned us in. With these roles in mind, we can envision quite clearly our typical daily activities 6 years from now, 10 years from now. And looking at these activities, we can write the affirmation statements that become our personal mission. Check out the description of this video for the link to the worksheet I developed and use for every business I choose to develop. If you can't find the link to how to create a mission statement, here it is. If you haven't noticed, every successful business has a mission statement. So if they have a mission statement, and highly effective people are in the habit of weekly reviewing the development of their personal mission statements, is there any reason why we don't take up that habit? If there is, what can we do to remove it? There's only one thing that needs to happen to turn impossible into something possible, and it's time. It's a pause between the M and the P. Extra time. This is why time is, in my mind, the most valuable resource. And because I value my time, I'm extremely grateful for yours. And because of my self-worth on time, to give you an idea of how much I value your time, I'm inviting you to a free coaching session where we'll spend time together strategizing the next steps. We'll review your development of your personal mission statement, get a clear picture of your motives, and develop a vision board. And then we can figure out what else needs to happen next for the development of our more abundant life. Because in my experience, helping others develop their more abundant life helps me understand more about my options for my more abundant life. And what comes with me to this session is a few $1,000s worth in a financial education and several $1,000s worth in business development. So let's take our time and use it as best as we can to be fruitful and multiply for the more abundant life of the ones we love. Be sure to check out the videos I'm developing to fulfill my sense of mission in empowering others for financial freedom. So until then, be blessed.